Hi, I'm Christina Trauthwein. I'm VP of Content and Partnerships at Hotel Business, and I'm here with Sonya Haffey, and she's principal at VStarr. Welcome.
Thank you, Christina.
So, health and wellness, it's such an important topic, something our industry has definitely embraced. But your firm has also embraced that. So let's talk about why health and wellness is so important to VStarr.
Great question, Christina. Health and wellness is very important to our firm because of Venus Williams, of course, our fearless leader. It's always been important to me, but over time you can tell that if your health is not on par, you're not reacting the same way, you're not having your brain working the same way, you're not productive. So it's really important for the entire team to be on point.
Oh, definitely. And health and wellness encompasses everything, right?
Yes.
Body, mind,
Correct.
spirits. So there's a lot of opportunity to incorporate that, I would think, into some of your projects.
Absolutely. So a lot of our projects have a health and wellness component. Going back to the team, we also have online program where they can get free
Counseling?
Counseling services.
That's so important.
So it is. It's really important because it is, like you said, it's not just health and wellness that you typically think, oh, I'm going to have a juice cleanse. Oh, I'm going to go to a workout.
Yeah.
That's the basics. I think nowadays we've really understood, and especially through COVID, that health and wellness is very much mental wellness. And if you're clear up here and your gut as well, then you can really be productive.
Sure, and I also think it's very important for the employees today, and also to attract new employees, for them to know that the firm and that the founder of the firm is very much empathetic to maybe some of their needs emotionally and mentally and so forth.
Absolutely, it's extremely important. And what you're going to say to someone else, you should be able to do for yourself. And that goes back to your question, about the hospitality industry and how we get that in our projects, is just encouragement. And also when we're working with operations, that's one of our questions. So what are you doing for health and wellness? How can we get this in the project? How can we look at it from a different viewpoint? It's really important now in hospitality business because after COVID, I know I'm so sick of talking about it. I'm sure everyone's sick of talking about COVID. But since then, you have an educated consumer. They're looking not only for the sanitizer on the wall, because that's, that was the first thing, that was the moment. What's the next step? Is it clean air? Is it, wellness for mental wellness? Is it offering a yoga class outside? It's having an outdoor component to your hotel, and that really gets a big ROI on your projects.
So let's talk about outdoor components and other health and wellness associated things. When I want to ask you about, you have a newly renovated spa at PGA National Resort in Palm Beach Gardens?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so what makes that project so special?
Well, I love PGA National as well as Venus. We are both lived in Palm Beach Gardens for some time and frequent the spa. So it's a personal favorite of mine.
That helps when you're working on something.
It does.
Yeah.
And you want to attend there, right? You want to go, I want to be happy. Everyone that we know personally and outside of the industry frequents that spa. So it's really important to make it special, and it needed a lot of TLC.
What are some of the things you did in the renovation?
Oh, one of the first things was adjusting the floor plan altogether. You would walk in and you didn't know which direction to go. So working on the psychology of it and ease of flow, movement. We worked with the ownership on creating a different environment, changing materials, inclusive of arches, working with not only operations and making it functional, but also the beauty of it, the aesthetic. Who wants to be there, working with sound, lighting, all of those components.
So you also have a project, the Condado Hotel in Puerto Rico, I believe, yes. And you've completed model rooms for that. What can we look forward to with that property?
So on that project, it was really interesting. So project in Puerto Rico, what comes to mind, or if I'm going to Puerto Rico, or if there's any kind of advertising component and you think of Puerto Rico, what are you thinking of? And it was really bringing that and that story to that project. It's on Condado Beach, which is a great location. and the existing building didn't have a lot to do with what you would imagine in your mind, the tropical, the bright colors, right?
Yeah,
all
it's
of
surprising.
that. So that's what you have to look forward to. We really went out of the box for that particular owner, I believe, and put a lot of color and emphasis on brightening it up and making it a really cheerful place to be.
Yeah, and that's going to be great not only for the owner, obviously, but for the guests, right? Because they're really going to feel the atmosphere that they're in.
Yes, and it differentiates. You know, it's so important with so many hotels and brands and everything spurring off and all the travel now to differentiate yourself from the place next door.
Yeah, as you said, there's a lot of competition amongst the brands, amongst the properties, amongst designers. I think it would be hard to constantly come up with something unique and something that is going to stand out from the one right down the street, especially if you're, a lot of designers focus, obviously you said, on location and bringing that location into the interiors. But if you're all in the same location, how do you keep that fresh?
Well, you always have to know your competition. So
Right.
one of the most important things is not only knowing the locale, who's going to attend, who's the demographic, who's the target market, and who's your competition, who's the biggest competitor, who's going to go there, is it a family, is it a single, is this business, is it all of the above?
Yeah.
And then bringing that in, and I think that's really creating your own story using the locale as part of it.
So another location. You have some other projects obviously in the works right now, and I believe there's one with Hilton.
Yes.
So tell me about that one.
Well, that one was unfortunate for the owner, but very, I guess, fortuitous for us to start working with them. And it was just at the beginning of COVID, and they had a leak. And so they really needed to renovate. Not good timing, but I guess so, because it was empty.
And where's the location?
Nice. In Palm Beach.
Okay.
So by the Palm Beach airport, and we were able to renovate that property. We're in the middle of it now, and it's a full renovation, exterior, interior, really working with having that exterior component being expanded upon, opening up to the locals, and telling a story.
I think it's kind of, it's neat. We used to think of airport hotels as just convenience and not destination. And it sounds like you're trying to make it a little bit more of a destination, not only for travelers, but for the locals, like you said.
Absolutely. And more of a resort. So they have all this outdoor amenity space. How do you make that where someone wants to go? They want to be there.
Right.
So the locals can go. Why do they want to be there? Create the space for them to want to go. And when they have guests come in town, that they're going to want to be there because it's so close to the airport.
Right.
You always have the others that are going to be there, right?
Right.
It's close
You
to
are.
the airport. But how do we get that? I mean, West Palm Beach is booming.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So how do we capitalize on that right now?
Okay. Beyond hotels, because we've been talking about those, what types of designs and projects are you focused on? I believe multifamily,
Yes.
I know is a big area for you. And beyond that, how does your work in residential kind of coexist with hospitality?
So we do work both in hospitality as well as multifamily. We have some residential projects, which I joke are boutique hotels.
Yeah.
Because of the size and scale of them. But in that, all of our multifamily properties, we're working from a hotel aspect. We're taking the hospitality side of it. When I move into one of those spaces, or if I'm looking at all the same things.
Right.
It's target market, demographics, locale. What is the differentiating factor? Who's your competition? Why am I going to sign that lease opposed to somewhere else? I always check in with the developers afterwards and ownership to make sure, how was your lease up? How did it go? Were we successful? Did we hit the market? That's how we approach it, not always how it is approached, but it's definitely something that we really zone in on.
Oh, I'm sure.
I was just talking to an owner of a hotel, and he was saying, well, what project do you have one that looks like my hotel, or you can show me in your portfolio? And I pulled up a multifamily project.
Yeah.
And I said, look, can you tell me if this bar is in a hotel or in our multifamily projects? And he had no idea. He said, oh, it's a hotel. But no, it in fact was a multifamily.
Thank you so much for your time, Sonya.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.